Now we're, yes, indeed. So very happy to sit here on Tuesday, November 8th, year 2022. Here with the Hello Hello Show, continuing with the tradition of public access and the tradition of the Hello Hello Show that's been on there since 1980. Some people say 82, some people say 81, some people say 84, but 4 decades of dedication. And as the founder is actually approaching 101, he's going to celebrate it soon with the kind of resolve and resiliency which I spoke about very openly and very deeply yesterday. Of course, not to fail to mention the contribution by this individual, Fraser Dougherty and Francis Ann, and you as a group out there, and a part of this group, Gary Swanson, is here with us this morning, just to show us that indeed it doesn't take much to find ourselves kind of playfully and creatively committed, and after the fact, even more so admire that which just took place and happened, whether we understand it or not. But so good to see you. We're going to talk about Italy a little bit, about the German character visiting and causing trouble there.
What German character are you talking about?
Now the lips don't even move much.
That is up to you. Because if you have a monocle, you can't move quickly because it will fall out.
That's it.
So therefore, you keep the whole face.
Yeah, it's irreplaceable.
Without movement.
It's irreplaceable.
Irreplaceable.
So
it's
just like he just came from killing a few people. So
not many, but
3.
That's the number. It's not critical.
A few individuals that deserve to die.
That is part of
it comes with the territory.
The landscape is
so what is your job description, by the way?
My job description?
That means I'm gone.
Okay, I'm done with that guy.
I know. That means I'm next.
He's left the room.
I know, but listen. When you're funny, you're funny. It doesn't matter who it is.
I keep going to Casablanca, I mean, that movie just keeps resonating with me.
How could it not be that?
I mean, I look, the reason that every time it comes on, I watch it from the beginning to end, and that's been 100 times. I mean, I know what every millisecond of that movie is going to be. But what is it about Bogart and about Heinrich, the guy who plays,
her husband,
oh God, her daughter lives out here. She's a fabulous woman.
You mean the woman that Grace?
No. She was Swedish and she had such a great effect on everybody. And why am I blanking on? Anyway,
which movie are you talking about?
Casablanca.
Casablanca. Okay.
Yeah, Paul Heinrich, I think, was her husband. And oh God, how dare I forget that? Anyway, that movie had such, Bogart never got the credit he deserved as a great actor. You look at him in Casablanca, then look at him in Pierre, Treasure of Sierra Madre.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he's two entirely different people.
There's no discussion even about how great he was. He was definitely
just
but also the times. It's also the message. It's also the era. It's also that with him, every movie that he shows up in is it takes a sweet distance from reality, from life, and it makes us feel more at ease, even if the subject under discussion is not comfortable. And not easy to deal with.
Right.
But his glamour, they bring his glamour into the equation. So now and then it reminds us that terrible things cannot happen with such a wonderful person on the screen. You know what I mean? He will save the day.
Well, in that last scene with this fog and Heinrich and I keep wanting to call her Greta. God, I'm so ashamed that I can't remember her name.
Oh, I know who you mean. Okay, I'll now you got me blanking.
Loved her.
Yeah, of course.
She was a magnificent actor.
Yeah.
And but that scene when the Nazis are playing their theme song in Rick's Cafe and Heinrich comes in and has them play the French Foreign Legion, and that moment of two cultural cataclysmic meeting in a song, by the way. Two songs fighting with each other, and the liberation of that one song, setting free everybody in that room who felt with tears in their eyes as they sang the French national anthem, opposing the horror of being taken over by the Nazi regime, who were ready to kill anybody. Where are your papers, please?
Yes.
And
I love it.
Then you have
chilling.
Peter Lorre, Peter Lorre coming in. Rick, I need some money. I have to get some money. Well, what do you
Ingrid
need
Bergman.
the money for? Huh?
Ingrid Bergman.
Ingrid Bergman. God, Jesus. Rossellini is her daughter. She's a lovely woman.
Yeah.
She does great things, by the way. I see her out here on Instagram, where she's working with animals, and she's working with all of the things that the life that makes life go. You know what I mean? The basic stuff.
Isn't it inevitable in the face of your travel to Italy and your passion and to do that and to go through your own limitation as a person in a certain age that did not travel for a long time, and also I can only imagine you, even without mastering the language, being somewhere, being as smart and intelligent as you are, and what kind of feelings and reservations and new things you adapted and grinded through, thought about, and how it did or maybe didn't make you be able to relate to your own life back here while you were there in a way that is new and different. Can you share with us?
That is a great question, and I got to tell you, I hadn't been to Italy since 1983 or 84, right? And my mother was Italian. My father was half Sicilian and half Swedish. So everybody thinks I'm this, Swedish guy, it does like this. But we're going to get the muffins and go down. No. Mm-hmm. I got a quarter Sicilian. That's the one you don't want to meet. But anyway, to answer your question.
You didn't have to say that. I already know that. With that smile.
Oh.
With that laugh. That was a Sicilian laugh, by the way.
Hey, come over
that's the
here.
only thing that the German cannot do is really laugh. Really laugh.
Yeah, they can laugh crazy. Sit down, please.
Oh my God. You do that with me for a couple of hours, I'm going to write a poetry book. Easily.
You and I, we can, we sing together.
So what, in a nutshell, if you can summarize,
okay,
1, 2, 3 things that you can see evidently as far as the things that I mentioned.
I'm not a world traveler for a long time. I mean, I've traveled, but I hadn't done it for a long time. And I'm arthritic, and I'm getting old now, and so I got to carry. So all of a sudden, I find myself having to figure things out in Milan, because I had somebody I was with that we separated. We went amicably apart, but she was really. She knew where she was going and how to put everything in, so I had to figure it out. And I got to tell you, there were moments of sheer terror to be in a country that where you have to all of a sudden start making your own bookings and going online and figuring out where you're going, and then move all your bags and get in the train station and then go places. That I had to. I really began at times to feel like a 5-year-old, like a completely daunting where I was, why I was, who I was trying to reach, but then all of a sudden you take a train and you land in a place called La Spezia, on the coast south of Genoa, and you don't know where you are, and you get out and walk, and all of a sudden you're on the water, and these lights and these cobblestones and the beauty starts to rhythmically move, and then you walk a mile, and then you go into this La Spezia, where I didn't know this was on Earth. I didn't know these beautiful little towns and there's great restaurants and there's people walking all over in the buildings that have been 300, 400, 500 years old, and you all of a sudden you're like resonating back into an emotional experience that goes right deep into the spiritual side of yourself, which I don't usually think much about. But then a 1,000-year-old church out in Portovera, Porto Vera. Then I had to walk there from when I went there. I had to walk from there into town a mile along the water every night, and it was this astonishing awakening of how people can be thinking about making things wonderful.
So how do you think about Montauk when you're sitting there going through all that? Does it come into the equation of you look at new people, new habits, you have a short time to spend to enjoy it or not, and then you're thinking about your home, and then you don't have time to adjust because did you miss Montauk? Did you feel like a point where you were so vulnerable and fragile that you wish you were being back home?
All it did was make me realize how astonishing what luck I've had. What luck I've had to live in Montauk.
Yeah,
it's not a cultural shock to go from the beauty of Italy to the Montauk Manor, or to the hills of Montauk, or to sit out on Navy Beach at sunset, and realize there's Gardiner's Island and there's the New England, and then to go the other a mile away and go sit at the Atlantic Ocean. How can that be any better than it?
Yeah.
And then you look at what happened in 1929 in Montauk with the Carl Fisher and what was deposited there and left behind in terms of the idea of Montauk being this wonderful, beautiful fishing village that no one has destroyed. And it's not going to be destroyed because it's all the land is protected.
Yeah, I know. And the thing is, I'm so glad that you're saying something that I can fully agree with. Really, definitely. I have a soft spot for Montauk. It was the first town I arrived to, started my journey in Montauk, and so when I was 24, 23, arriving here, all I wanted to do is to explore because I was like. In the Army, they taught me so much about navigation and all this. So it was like, okay, I need to know where I am, even though you didn't have computers where you can just click a button and figure out where you are. It's like stupid maps that, luckily, thank God I had good eyesight there. That I could just have maybe with the map. But I just figured, anywhere I go, I hit water. So it always already made me feel safe.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how wrong I am and where I'm going. Technically speaking, I'll end up in the water, and then I will know for sure where I am.
Yeah.
So,
when in doubt, just keep driving.
Yeah, just keep driving until you hit. So the thing was, so I'm glad to hear you say that. So meeting the Italian people. Yeah. So what did you do? Did you stare them in the face? Start examining them?
No, I could sit for hours and watch people, but when you go to you go to Milan or you go to Florence or
Milan is a huge city. It's not a
but Milan still has
center of fashion and
yeah. I cannot be critical of each town had its own remarkable quality, but the people. The Italian people were they were completely alive in terms of what they were doing and why they were doing it, and you didn't see any moping around. And the restaurants, you go to a restaurant and you have this astonishing meal, and you realize that the guy who's twirling the olive oil, his great-grandfather started the restaurant.
Yeah, and
they're thrilled to be doing that. They're thrilled that you like the plate that's being set before you.
Yeah,
I never saw anybody who was miserable about their job. Yeah. Everybody's happy about their job.
Yeah,
and then you'll be in a big town square, and like when I was in the Spezia, the town, the beautiful open square, and all of a sudden you see all the art and all the kids running around, playing right next to you at 8 o'clock at night while you're eating, and I understand one thing when I've come away from Italy, why that becomes a spiritual center for an entire religion that's a couple of thousand years old, which is the majesty of the mountains, the majesty of the care of the buildings, the artistry, the colors. You begin to go, wait a minute. There's a resonation of something much deeper in life than just getting through the day, or how much money you can make, or whether you got a date or not, or whether there's something deeper going on. By the way, I'm going to flip the switch here on you. Listen to me. You are, to me, I mean this sincerely, a cultural icon. 4,000 shows you've done. 4,000 shows.
Yeah.
Because you get here and you show up, and the painting behind you, you did.
A little more than 4,000. So please.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I mean,
wait,
that's
think before. Think before. Think before.
4,000, 5,000.
Yeah, listen. Think hard before you come up with a number.
There's 365 days in a year.
Yes. Don't forget that the first 11 years we had 2-hour shows, not 1-hour show.
Well, I see them occasionally when you do that.
Yeah.
When you had those old shows back then.
Yes.
And the people that have passed through, but not only that, your paintings and what you do, great family man, and kudos to you. I want to make a point that this town should have a placard.
Yeah.
Devoted to you and your artwork. My God.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
But coming back, let's make the comparison between Italy and where I've been. Appreciation for people like you and what you're doing is all the greater. And the arts in Long Island, and the arts in the East End. And the sense of, I heard an interview on, maybe it was LTV, where the musician was talking about her career and how she ended up in the East End, and the way she had heard about the Talk House from New York City. Everybody has to come out and play this little place in Amagansett.
Yeah.
Which, that's a moment of pride when you hear. I lived in New York for most of my life. And, I went to New York to vote, and stayed in my old apartment, and I had breakfast. And on Amsterdam Avenue, this place called Somebody's Pickles, this great place where they just heat all kinds of stuff on you, beer, And
what's cross street?
Amsterdam and 84th.
Amsterdam I know that. 84th. I know that very well.
And
I used to be on 79th.
Yeah, you know it. It's a great place. But anyway, there's Montauk beer there, and so you feel connected.
Yes.
It's a great way to feel connected.
Yeah, I think so. And and also the attitude is changing accordingly, where we kind of, even though it's a tourist town, it's still maintaining its character. And
which town?
Montauk. It's dignity, And the winters will humble many people and will challenge you, and there's still that sensation of solitude and quietness and loneliness and morbidness and melancholy and it's sweet but sweetness all around.
Correct.
Kinda. So when you walk around with that amount of sweetness and melancholia hits you, it's not that bad. It's
there's always that sense.
It's a soft punch rather than a.
Well said, because if I hadn't gone to Italy, I wouldn't have been able to define it. That sense of it beyond the worries of the common day, and call it spirituality if you want. But yeah, Montauk does have that.
Will you indulge me in reading this? This is just
okay. No.
But try to imagine where the commas are. Try to imagine.
You're coaching me now.
Yes. I'm not going to look at you doing that.
Would you like me to read it with an Irish accent? I can do that if you like. I'd be glad to try it that way.
Don't mind me. The only reason why I gave it to you is because I need to do something here.
Oh, okay. Busy yourself and leave me the hell alone.
So I don't feel so bad.
Try to figure this one out.
This is after three months that I didn't. I guess I don't know.
Tremble the reach out, the sinking of greatness, and all that follows, as should the spark enlightened and bright. Bring home the salvation of man, ungrateful by might, and slip the caution brought to its knees under the sealed level of granting grace and ensuring tight fits. Your glance is as the rest of the world's attention combines the sorting through of all the magic wrapped around wonder, packed tightly and engulfing curve by curve to capture a lure, a gesture of an anonymous love, the kind that spreads like butterflies, short silky life overlooking the accompanying drama. The rough seas of love, hate, and the quiet blip before the destruction of the newly built dream, as we get drawn to the link of pasture briefing grown-ups.
Pasture briefing grown-ups.
Pasture briefing grown-ups, lust spreads its signature of approval to go ahead, pat me if you wish. Pretty good.
Yes, I thought it's
But
different.
Just fooling around.
If I'll capture that spirit and
But let me just point out, this
Yeah.
is the first thing you've written since the passing of your dear friend.
Yeah.
What was her name again?
Joanne de Simone.
Joanne, who used to sit in this chair all the time.
Oh yeah, for many months.
So this is a tribute to her.
I don't know if it's a tribute to her. I wrote already my tribute to her.
Okay, but
That's the one you
broke
read.
your
Remember
ice.
last time you read that?
Okay, but you broke your ice this time.
Yes. But remember the last time that you read here was actually what I wrote for her, remember?
Well done. Well done. Yes, I do.
Yeah, so that was how much do you think we can get out of what you just did, kind of the actions that you took in the last month, traveling and all that? I mean, is it all about just taking an airplane and saying, I'm going to take a break and I'm going to change the scenery and I'm going to entertain ideas or whatever. But at the end of the day, I will benefit from it because I will learn from everything. I will teach myself. I will make a points of references that are new, that will serve me right. I will go back home happier, stronger, feeling more resolved. I will be more tolerant. I will go to my old life, feeling that it's completely new. It's completely different. Than so, I mean, is it too much to think that there's so much can be gained before, during, and after when it comes to traveling, when it comes to making that move? And maybe even entertaining far-fetched ideas that will never come true. If you know what I mean.
All right. So that was a beautiful question. I mean it. And what it elicits in terms of my response is that I felt I had to go over there. I'm now in my 70s, and my brother Bob unfortunately died at 71 of a terrible disease. My mother made it to 73, and my father was 96. So in terms of my mortality, you have to address those conditions. You have to say to yourself, is that the top of your head that we see bouncing up and down? You're a little puppet. Let me just move your head up. There you go.
Okay, so that means we have 24.
There's a buzzsaw breaker to the...
Yes, I know. Ignore me. I mean,
okay, I'll ignore you.
You got
All
a
right.
job to accomplish
All right.
here.
I have
do you
the
remember
mic.
where you were, or you have to
the mic.
recapture now? Where was I?
No, but anyway, yeah. What happens is when
Where were you?
When you are, there were times of tremendous sadness over there. I had moments of where I'd be alone in a room and the sun was going down, and I had to figure out, that I didn't have the things that I could rely on, like a TV or a computer or and you go, then you implode, and you go, I'm really alone here. And I'm in the middle of nowhere in terms of my knowledge of where I am. And then suddenly you say, I got to get out now. I got to walk. And I walk, and all of a sudden you walk, and you're overwhelmed by the fact that you're not significant, but you are. you're not you don't matter, but you really do. Everybody's walking by with their families and their dogs and their kids and their experiences and their histories and their health and their money and their sex and their food and their blah blah blah. And then you go, okay, here I am, and this was an incredibly enriching flash into my awareness. And in a positive way, because when I got back, again, the appreciation of this astonishing country where we're free to go and move around and talk to each other, and we have to struggle like everybody else, but you come back to America and you realize that 250 years of democratic voting for your own person, not a monarch, we the people. One person, one vote. Yeah, it's filled with torment. It's filled with problems. It's a messy experience. But democracy is magnificent. It is magnificent.
Absolutely.
And to keep it going is unfortunately the stewards who have to be there to keep feeding it and growing it and nurturing it.
I practice it every day. I
You
talk
do.
about it every day here. I sit here and I talk about it every day, and I manage somehow to make it sound different every time.
You're a staunch backer of the democratic world, yes, of life.
And public access is literally in your face telling you not only that you can, but let me show you how, let me encourage you, let me get things ready for you.
Absolutely. Right.
And then you realize about yourself whether you got what it takes or not, whether you want. I remember once one rabbi really liked me very much, and I wasn't married then, and I wasn't, no kids, no family. And he said, let me send you to this really famous rabbi to give you a blessing. Maybe you'll get married, maybe you'll find your... So I went in there, and it was all awkward, but it was like in Jerusalem about 25, 30 years ago. He says, why are you here? I said, my friend sent me here and wanted a blessing. I wanted to get married. And he looked at me and said, no.
What?
You go and you come back when you're ready, because you're not ready.
Really?
Yeah. Like he's telling me, I'm not going to waste my blessings on you now. Not in a bad way, but it's just like... And then I realized that I knew that ahead of, this is human nature. I knew that ahead of time. I knew that before I went to see him. I knew that it was a joke, but it wasn't a joke. I knew it was like almost indirectly disrespecting someone coming in the state of mind that I was, knowing deeply that I don't belong, I'm not there, I'm not ready, I'm not, So it was a lesson, a big lesson that was never learned really, because I didn't really implement it. I did not say, okay, got it, I'm going to register it, I'm going to benefit from it, I'm going to make it a part of my data, I'm going to take advantage of it, I'm going to use it to benefit me. No, it was just another thing that happened. Like so many other things,
Yeah, but you still remember it.
Yeah, I remember it, correct. So
How long ago was that?
Like 25, 27 years ago.
Look at how you're talking about it as if it happened yesterday.
Exactly, because
and at the
my
time
technique...
you didn't think it was important.
Because my attitude and approach today teaches me that I need to go to the past and grab as much of these lessons that I thought that I should implement and benefit from, which I didn't, but I can always bring it now to the present and work on it and use it as a tool. Yeah. It's mine. You see, Dr. John Sarno, I love him so much, is because he says the subconscious has no sense of time. Things that happened to you in the deli this morning, and supposedly you thought it's nothing, but it was just as traumatic and as severe as being molested 50 years earlier. The mind doesn't understand differentiating, whatever.
Friction?
No, differentiating between the one and the other. So that's why we need to take seriously everything as if it's the here and the now. There's our perception, the subconscious knows nothing of it. So then you learn a lot by realizing it and accepting this realization, this discovery that someone offers you. I know that if you do this and that, this will happen. I cannot tell you why. I can only tell you, try for yourself and see that it will work. And even when it will work, you will realize you don't have to ask too many questions. Why did it work? How come it worked? It worked. You see what I mean? Human nature will resist that also. Human nature will resist that. Will say, no way that it can be such an easy, quick, snip-snap resolution, and I'm cured. Following?
Yeah.
Even though he can witness that he's cured, he's being cured. Even if that realization is without any doubt, if forming in front of his face or her face, there's a tendency to resist it, to say, go away, you're fake.
You know, you just hit on the point of the idea of the subconscious, which, again, forgive me, I'm going to go back to Italy, because there's no better way to allow the freedom of the subconscious to mingle with the conscious mind than being and looking at the mountains of Italy, or the Cinque Terre, the 5 cities, 5 towns, as you go up on a boat. And all of a sudden you become emotional when you see a church that was built in over 1,200 years ago, and you think of all the people who've gone in and out, and your subconscious suddenly has the conscious mind has no more control over the barrier that we keep when we stop going. And all of a sudden you start to cry, and you go, I don't know why I'm so emotional. Why is this affecting me to this way, where I'm suddenly beginning to, like, I want to cry, but I don't have a picture in my mind. I don't have a place in my mind. That's the subconscious, because the subconscious doesn't know a lie. It doesn't understand lies. It only understands a truth. It understands, that's correct. And I think you hit on something just now. What I believe is there's.
But how did you come to the realization that it does not know a lie, only the truth? I mean, it sounds good, but it doesn't make sense to me so much.
Subconscious?
Yeah, like how do you know?
Because it's non-judgmental, first of all, and the senses don't lie. Your taste, touch, smell, sight, and sound does not lie to you. That is the gateway to the subconscious, by the way. We use it in acting all the time, the 5 senses. You want to get to an emotional experience, you work on taste, touch, smell, sight, and sound. You don't work on a story.
Don't show off too much here, okay? I didn't mean it. Don't stop, but don't stop. You were just brilliant now. So just because I said something nasty, it doesn't mean you have to stop. Yeah, I know. So,
why am I here?
So what is the rationale behind
because
behaving so irresponsibly, stupidly, or whatever you want to call it?
Because I believe that the subconscious is a universal knowledge for all living people. That's universal subconscious cannot be tampered with in terms of what it knows. A whole country can lie to itself. It can propagate a lie, and it'll absorb the lie, but down deep, they know it's a lie. And that lie festers and destroys, because then the subconscious that has the feeling of that all should be well, that keeps life going, starts to get mangled. You can mangle it. Hitler mangled, not only his life, but a whole country, a whole history, in a way. He mangled it because when you lie to that degree and you continue to lie and lie and lie, it mangles that ability to be able to see a mountain.
When you have someone such as Goebbels next to you, then you don't have to worry about anything, about the people's awareness. The propaganda that took place was crafted in the hands of the capable, the very capable, and Goebbels was probably the number one most effective individual as a villain to promote and to make people, to present to them and introduce them to things that will never leave them. And therefore, when they need to become a part of the machine and to operate and to react and to do, for the most part, heinous acts, to perform heinous acts. They don't think twice because they're conditioned by that time. So, but this is the basic. But the thing is, personally, how much do you think we really take advantage of things that we experience, that we are responsible for their creation, or just observing as other people creating their own, and we are as spectators? How much do you think we take to heart? How much do you think we take back home and say, well, I'm making a point, I'm taking a note, I'm going to work on it later, because this is something I just realized. This is something that just happened in front of my eyes. I'm going to memorize it, and I will go. And thank God I have a studio. I can make sense of all these things. It's almost like filling your pockets with whatever, money, papers, whatever. At the end of the day, you come, you put it on the table. You're not aware of how much you have and what you have, but when you put it on the table, you realize it tells you the story of the day. So the same thing, but we don't understand what it means to face a level of sensitivity that is of such that it can only benefit us. That it's vital and crucial for us to adapt this kind of habit, custom, to acknowledge the day, to acknowledge the happenings, to acknowledge and accept the experience that is accumulating on behalf of that. And if you're an artist, then obviously you know how to channel it, where to channel it. But even if you're not an artist, you can behave as one without necessarily performing as one. Okay? You can behave as one without actually being able to perform as one. It's okay. It's doable. You can pretend even if you're not an actor. You know what I mean?
Oh, everybody pretends.
Yeah, but what I mean, but you can pretend knowingly, without being an actor, knowingly.
Yeah.
That, yeah. But and then you can be a winner in so many other territories, because once you get over the sense of being observed, someone is watching me, then you know how strong or weak you are immediately, instantly. So the trick is not to realize that you're weak and then you become strong, is to realize that you're weak and then you're strong. You don't have to become strong. Understanding your weakness makes you strong instantly. You don't start to become strong from that weakness. Something like that. Yeah.
You know what? I want to go back to you talking about 25 years ago when you went before a rabbi, knowing what you knew in your mind. You knew you weren't ready for
I knew I had no business being there.
But here's the thing, you did. And why is it in answer to you what you just posited by what you were saying about when that moment comes when you know the truth or don't know the truth? You knew the truth before you went. But he confirmed it for you because you were lucky to talk to a rabbi, a sage, who looked at you and said, I know what you're doing. You want confirmation that you think you're on the wrong path, but you need to get on the right path. You think that the deeper part of yourself is in conflict with that part of myself that needs to experience life, that needs to go out and do things that other people might be judgmental about.
Yeah, and I was there because I admitted by doing that I respected him and admired him so much without even knowing him. I had a lot of respect for him. That's why I was hoping that maybe he will overlook that point and still say, you know what? If you're already here, let me give you a blessing anyway, nevertheless. I was hoping that will take place. But of course, with him, and I wasn't surprised that he actually acted the way he did, because I was expecting that to happen. But I said, maybe that particular moment something will happen to him and he will say, if you're already here, might as well.
Yeah.
But I wasn't surprised and I wasn't disappointed, therefore. I was just like saying, okay,
but that was
I should
the moment.
know better. Yes, but that was the moment. I should know better next time.
But that was the moment you were talking about when all of a sudden you're enlightened. And you don't know you're enlightened.
I am, yes. Yeah, I don't know. But now I know that I'm enlightened.
Now you know, because guess what?
Yeah.
You've lived the other path.
Yeah.
The one he was saying that now you're ready.
If you put away $100 30 years ago, intentionally or accidentally aside, it will still yield the value that it will accumulate.
Yeah.
You are not needed anymore. If you accidentally dropped it from your pocket and it went to this box and it's there, or you put it intentionally because you want to keep it for a rainy day, it will still be the same $100 plus all the things that you gained along the years. So sometimes you don't have to be mindful of your act. You can just do your act because you say, maybe I don't know enough to say that this is not what I should do.
You said something else. Let me reflect back, which you're talking about when you want to be strong and you're really weak. And then once you recognize that you're weak, that's the beginning of being strong. I hate to sound like, some age-old bearded philosopher in the room, but that's what you said. And I agree with that acknowledging your own, the metamorphosis of vulnerability into the day-to-day experience. And this goes for everybody at all ages. I don't believe that, if somebody is, I ran into Kay. You know Kay, who used to be at the bank? And Chase, she knows you.
Oh, yes, of course.
She love it. And I was coming here and we ran into each other and it was so good. I hadn't seen her in years. And then she shocked me a little. She said, I'm only a few years away from 90. And I went, Kay, I want to give you a hug. You're doing beautifully. She said, I wear this thing, this pendant, not for me, but because it makes my children feel better. I don't really need it.
Yeah.
But the life in her eyes tells me that she is still waking up every day and being astonished.
Yes.
Being astonished, I think that's my biggest gift in life that I was given as a child that it's never left me. Being astonished at something every day. I'm never bored. I'm never bored because I wonder how the hell did that happen? How does it happen?
Yeah.
What is this life we're living?
Yeah, but we got to be careful to understand the difference between dwelling and thinking, and contemplating.
Of course.
Yeah, well, you say of course, but it's not that obvious and it's not that evident. People dwell so much thinking that they actually think. They contemplate, they observe, they reflect,
or they repeat.
But they're doing pure dwelling, and that dwelling. The thing is that you might be able to think while you dwell and thinking that it's actually thinking and not dwelling, but at the end of the day, it won't get you anywhere because you will realize that you have no plan, none whatsoever. You just went through a big blah blah. You took no notes, so you spent 5 hours. You tried to be serious, but you didn't know enough for your own good, and you're left with nothing. No recording, no list, no points of reference. No order, no plan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you feel like, okay, so what is it? When you go from empty to empty, that doesn't mean much really. So it doesn't matter what you are, how you are. You were an actor, you teach you that. You don't need any lecture about how you can grow in your territory, and for that sake, also understanding the world around you. Same with me. I know what it means. My relationship with poetry or my drum set or my canvas, I don't need someone to come tell me, let me show you. Yeah, let me show you. And then I can stop them and say, let me tell you what I think you can show me that can help me. But not what you think, because you think it's so great under your filter of interpretation and observation and knowing yourself, thinking about yourself. That is meaningless to me. What's meaningful is my ability to tell you, I know you have something to give me, but I need to inform you what it is. And I know you can, if I caught you in a good time, then probably the answer will be yes, and you give it to me. Or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, all right, I'm going to...
Was that a grin or a laugh? Or?
Well, that was... I was faking it. I was lying and trying to make like I was listening to what you were saying. I'm not understanding a word of it, but... I get it.
Yes.
What the hell did he just say? He said something.
But it's over. Now it's chapter 3.
being with you is like, eating clouds. You got
Yeah, now you started doing like this with your arms. I know
because my back hurts.
No,
don't read into my
your
body
back
language.
doesn't just hurt on its own. There's some stuff happening
now we're
here.
gonna have my subconscious get into my back, and I got
No, it's our conversation. What do you think?
I had a real thought.
Yeah, well,
the thought's gone.
Okay, so what happened?
Oh, here it is. Again,
Thank God.
I'm picking up. I don't want to tell anybody nothing, man. When I was in Italy, I visited certain people, and one of the people I wanted to visit in Rome was this grand lady named Francesca Di Sapio, who played Robert De Niro's wife in The Godfather. Everybody's seen her 1,000 times, Francesca Di Sapio. Remember nearly when sitting at the table, and the woman in the background with Michael, and that's Francesca. She's the Italian Eleanor Duzza. She's the big acting teacher there. I've done 2 movies with her. I've known her for 45 years, and so I couldn't wait to see her. And I met her fabulous husband, Vito. Vito's big.
Now this trip
in Rome.
Oh.
In Rome.
Oh, amazing.
And they have their acting classes. And she and I were trained the same way with Lee Strasberg, right? So this happened. This actually happened. They said, come and visit us. We were in the morning and come in the afternoon. So I took the afternoon and to go with these beautiful kids, 25 students in this nice little black box theater. And Vito and Francesca teach it, and the way I learned it. Here's what was astonishing. I sat from 1 o'clock till 5 o'clock, not knowing 10 words that were spoken, but I understood everything, and I was never for a second bored by what I was watching because I understood everything. I said, okay, I have to get rid of my language now, and I'm just going to viscerally pick up on because I saw the classes I was in. I saw the work that I was in. I knew it all. And she had me get up and talk to them and translate. And I said to them, I don't know the language, but yet I know your language. I don't know what you were saying, but I know what you were thinking and feeling. And I was never bored. I was never like, oh my God, how am I going to get through this? I'm sitting in 5 hours with another language. No, I was astonished. And when I spoke to them, they understood what I was saying. One of the things I said that Francesca appreciated when I looked at them, and I said, I was you. I was you getting up here doing all of that. The improvisations and the speaking out and the relaxation exercises and the sensory. I was you.
Yeah.
You're on the right path. So that was part of the, you brought the Italian thing up. I'm blathering up. I guess I needed to talk to you. What are you reading? You are funny. You could order in while you're sitting here.
But
Chipotle, yeah. Let's have some French fries and give me the hot sauce.
Yeah, the hot sauce with that. That's like aim it this week. So and the same goes with like when you were there, you knew what's going on because you knew all these things for yourself.
Yeah.
Regardless of their existence there. You live it, you understand it from your utter being, and you studied it with the greatest, and then you lived it through your life,
Yeah.
So this is not something that just dissipates or anything like that. And it's not about being good or great, or it's not about the measurement, even though the measurement sometimes is important and called for, to be able to know. You want to go up, but you also the speed of going up. So many calculations and all that. I think that when you have the same feeling, then you write a poem, or then you paint a painting. You go to the canvas, and there's a moment of mutual respect that's taking place throughout all the ingredients that are involved in this process, in this something that's just about to happen. There's a mutuality is something that serves identical, that serves everything evenly. And you happen to be the human being there. There can be also objects there, it doesn't matter. And so you say that, but that sounds boring, because if it's that perfect, then you're really almost like not involved in the creation. You're just there, and before you know it is done, you can turn around and leave, and it will still be a wonderful painting. But it will be like, it sounds like not hard earned,
Yeah.
Not hard enough, not difficult enough, not complex enough, not challenging enough. But you know what? That took place for the longest time before that. That's why we can afford to be at the point where we don't need to apologize or excuse ourselves or this. We're doing a good job. We're accepting it. We know it. We're aware of it. And we know that we don't need to mean to do it better, because it's inevitable that if we were going to keep doing what we're doing, it will get better no matter what.
Yeah.
This is not by definition. You don't define that it's going to do better. You're going to do this and that, and therefore it's going to do better. And you're going to do this and that more and more, and that means it's going to be better and better. No. You're going to, because in between hearing yourself say that, you still have to perform also, correct?
Yeah.
So the difference between this person and that person is that person has to do that and perform, and the other person is just performing. He doesn't have to reassure himself or its immediate vicinity, surrounding of its intentions or preparations or what it takes, what goes into it. That's why I don't like to tell people what I'm doing in the studio, how I paint things. All I want to say is, like, I love you, but it's not your business.
Yeah.
This is you have no room. You have no place in this space. It doesn't belong to you. It's not about you. It's not nothing. So I'm gracious enough to give you the painting. Live with it, man.
I have talk about not answering why and how things happen and where they go. I got a buddy of mine, Ben Robinson. He's one of the world-class magicians. He travels all over the world, does magic acts. And he works very hard at what he does. I mean, Ben is a worker at home. He's always working with objects and rings and moves and things and makes things, and sometimes he will tell me things about magic without betraying the magic, the code of a magician, which is how it's done. And you know what? He just talked to me about something he just learned after. Ben's 62 or 63 now. He's had 4 heart attacks, by the way, and he keeps trudging on. He did this in Italy. He was telling me about being in Italy. He said there was something I never had the courage to try. It was a hand move, right? Where he said, everybody's waiting for the clap to take place. In other words, when you see somebody about to clap, you're waiting for the clap. And he said there is a split second before the clap when the card has to disappear. This is a new thing he's learning. I'm not talking about something he was good at before. He said this is the big trick. This was the one that he never tried because he didn't have the courage, and he did it in Italy. Now he does it all the time. It's that moment where you think the card is going there, and that's when he does the magic. It's gone before. And you keep following where you think it's supposed to go. So the card disappears when you think it's about to arrive.
Yeah.
It's that moment before. In acting, I consider that so accurately as when I've been really good as an actor, it's been when I have not known what the next split second is to bring me. I know what the script is. I know the scene. I'm not unprepared. But for a second, I have no idea what the next second's going to bring. I don't know if I'm going to know lines or what the scene's about to take place. And that's before the clap, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
Then I guarantee you that an audience will gravitate to that moment when a human being is in that jumping moment, when they don't know where they are and how we're doing it. That's the moment where Brando was a master. Where Anna Magnani was a master.
I was wondering how long it's going to take you before you mention Brando.
Give me time.
You did very well
Brando
today.
will come up.
Actually, you did very well today.
I was thinking of him a minute ago.
Yes.
I couldn't figure out.
How about
come over here and
mix
hit him in
him,
the face, please?
mix him with a German accent?
Very well. If
Brando did a great German accent. Did you ever see The Young Lions?
Yeah.
Watch this. This is Brando in The Young Lions.
is not some things that I would understand. Because you bring me this moment.
Suddenly becomes Italian. He's going to kill someone.
By the way, Brando
gut.
could speak French and German.
Oh yeah.
He could speak fluent German and fluent French.
I love it. Good for him.
I saw an interview with him, a black and white documentary, right? Where and Brando was so mercurial. He's talking to a beautiful woman. She's interviewing him, and he's seducing her, and he starts to speak to her in German. And I went, come on. You mean to tell me the guy speaks fluent French, which you saw in Last Tango, by the way.
Yeah.
In Last Tango, he did whole scenes in French. And then he's talking to this woman in German. What the hell? Where did he come up with all of that? I wondered.
Yes, well, it's a rare talent. Things have something to offer. Luckily, a guy like this did not crumble before he gave the world what he gave. He could have easily crumble and fall to pieces. There's too many demanding issues that test us constantly, and all of that. But anyway, what I'm really trying to say is that when you reach a point where you're standing in front of the canvas and suddenly you hear yourself, get closer, then you reached it. You reached that level,
Yeah.
where you can tell the canvas to come closer.
Huh. That's what I'm talking about.
And this is not difficult to share. You would think that the voices that should not scare you, that are there, that does not tell the story that everybody knows when you hear voices.
Yeah.
It tells a different story. All of this and so much more in the same direction. I don't want to leeway you now. And also because we have 2 more minutes to finish the show. So that's where, so now the thing is that even when you reach that, if you don't adapt it, meaning adapt it, bring it closer, glue it to your chest, push it down into your digestive system, and make it stay there so you don't have to poop it or pee it out. It's just who you are, what you are, forever and ever. So, to tell you that you're not going to have to repeat this ritual every time you actually think that you're the master of it, that would be a lie. You would have to do it more often than not. But it's a small price to pay to maintain your superiority and enjoy the achievements and all that. So, just wanted to mention that we're sitting here on Tuesday morning, actually. Wow, I love to hear myself say morning, election day. November 8th, year 2022, here with the Hello Hello Show. And my name is Haim Mizrahi, and my guest, Gary Swanson. We're going to be here tomorrow as much as we were here yesterday, and again, as much as we're here this morning of Tuesday, November 8th, year 2022. Gary, thank you so much. I'll give you the last word.
The last word. Okay, here it is. Anyone out there who feels like they're lying to themselves, own it, get rid of it, and your life will get better.
Well said. But I think you overstepped your boundaries. I love you, Gary.
Love you too, Haim. Thank you very much.
Breakfast is on me this time.
Okay, you betcha. Champagne, baby.